Lee Klein from Metro Magazine. What will your coaching style be like? How will this team play?
Well, we're going to find out pretty soon. We've been working every day, conditioning-wise, and playing a fast-paced NBA style. I think the style will be dictated more by our players. When you bring up basketball philosophy, a lot of that to me is personality. Not only my personality, but my players' personality. I didn't create dribbling. I didn't create shooting. I've been coached by a lot of great coaches when I played. I'll use a lot of different philosophies that I've been taught, and more importantly, the ones that fit my players. I want my players to be comfortable, confident, and be able to perform at the highest level. So it's a work in progress. As Steve mentioned, we have 10 new players. So we're working hard. I'm really pleased with the way all our players have been working, not only hard-working, but also unselfish. I think if you play hard, you play unselfish, and you play the right way, things will work out just fine. When? We'll find that out, but it's a work in progress.
Pat O'Keefe, News 12. Steve mentioned the staff that you put together. Talk to me a little about assembling the staff and how much you've relied on them since you took over in April.
It's the biggest thing for me. Steve mentioned I was a GM, and my biggest asset was the guys working for me and with me. In this role, being a first-time coach and coming from the NBA after 30 years of being in the NBA, it's a whole new ball game. So I was fortunate enough to, get Matt Abdelmassi first, and then got Slice as my associate head coach, who come from Kentucky. Two guys that have played roles in college programs, from head coach to ops to top recruiter. So that was key for me, to get guys with experience in college basketball. And then rounding things out, I got Greg St. Jean to join us from the Sacramento Kings, who's an incredible game planner, practice planner, development guy. And I watched him work with our NBA guys, and he's been a tremendous fit. Got Dan Maddich that came on board as a operations guy. He worked with Bo Ryan in Wisconsin, so he's got incredible experience under a great coach like Bo Ryan. And then filling out the staff, I got one of the greatest players in NBA history, Mitch Richmond. And I'm not quite sure what Elias would say, but I think it's the first time in college basketball history I would say there's two Hall of Fame players. And so again, we're going to do it together, just like my players. I'm going to insist that they play together. My staff, they pretty much guide me, because this is a whole new ball game, not just coaching, but coaching in college basketball. So we sit, we meet, and we do it as a team.
Jim O'Connell, The Associated Press. Chris, at a time like this, when you got the season going, are you really getting anxious for the first game, or are you sitting there saying I could really use another few weeks before that first game?
Again, coming from the NBA, we usually practice 3-4 days and start playing. So I love practice, and I think we need it because we have a lot of new players. But I wouldn't say I'm anxious or impatient. I think just like the NBA, you get your schedules laid out, and you play or coach accordingly. So we have this time for preparation. I think it's going to be used well and used properly. But when the games come, they come. We know when they are. It's all laid out, and we have our plan in place for practice and preparation. So they'll get here soon enough.
In the back on the right.
Chris, I'm Mark Renee from 1010 Wins. I'm just curious, given your history on this campus and in this building over the course of the last 6 months, at what point did the wow factor wear off that you were coming to work here?
I think once we got our team together, I feel very comfortable functioning in a team atmosphere. That's what I've done my whole adult life. So once I got my whole roster together, and we're on the floor and we're practicing and making progress, that's when things feel normal to me. When we first got here, we in the summertime, and those guys worked hard. But some days we had 3 and 4 guys. We were still making progress, but it's much nicer when you have your group together each and every day, and you can really see the progress happening as a group. So, you know, the team stuff is what makes me function. You know, team is where it's at for me. I've done it my whole adult life. So having my team together is where it's at.
Chris, Greg Logan from Newsday. When you talk about giving your players so much freedom, it seems like kind of a delicate balance with so many new guys because they don't all come in, you know, equipped to play like you did. You know, how do you try to shape them and guide them, you know, to play the kind of team ball that you want?
Well, the biggest thing is playing unselfishly, and they've done that from day one. You know, we got a tremendous group of guys that share the basketball. I think they're learning, you know, when you move the ball and you move your body, shots are going to create themselves. And I think they've done a tremendous job, not only of doing it, but also realizing that's the way to play. And to me, it's really important for guys to go out there, play with freedom, but also I think with freedom comes confidence, you know, and you become decisive. Look, we're going to make turnovers, we're going to miss shots. That's the game of basketball. But I think understanding that, you know, as long as you're decisive and you're confident in your decisions, I'm gonna enforce that. And so, look, there's always going to be a balance of running and playing in the half court, and you know, offensive execution and defensive transition. All those things are things we're going to work on. But ultimately, I want my guys to be very confident when on the floor. They're not looking over their shoulder, looking at me to call every single play. That does take time, but I do think it's the right way to play.
Over here to the left.
Chris, hi, Andy Lipton, Slam Magazine. You've been in the game your whole life. What surprises, you know, did you happen upon you now, now being a coach? What's the biggest surprise?
Well, I think probably being in the game as long as I have, nothing yet. You know, I've played a lot of different roles. I have not played this one, but you know, I've been exposed to. I've worked with coaching staff, sat in coaching meetings, you know, in the different roles I played. So, nothing yet. When it does, I'll deal with it.
Take a question from Zach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Chris, we all know how important the point guard position is. It's an extension of the coach. You're going to be relying on 2 freshmen to play the position. How confident are you that they could play right away and deal with the pressure of obviously playing for St. John's and everything that comes with that?
I'm extremely confident in all our players, and you're referring to Federico and Marcus. What I've seen on the court is their experience is beyond their years. I think they handle themselves very well. They're very composed and confident. And I do, what I think is important is that confidence comes from playing with their teammates. You know, we have returning players and some fifth-year seniors that are going to, you know, be our leaders. And I think it's going to be important that they help those guys, you know, from their experience, what it's like playing in their first game or what it's like playing in their first Big East game. But as far as taking care of their business on the floor, I think they'll gradually gain their confidence. But talent-wise and skill-wise, I think they're going to be fine.